What is up, Knights? Welcome to another episode of Thought Factory. So what I do here is Thought Factory is where I basically watch an inside Star Citizen armor bearer, spring 2021. Wow. And I basically just give my thoughts on it. That's pretty much it. Kind of what we can look forward to, future plans of Star Citizen, stuff like that. Also, if you're new to Star Citizen and you're just watching this for the first time, Star Citizen is a amazing game with a lot of bugs. That's what it is. If you decide to get Star Citizen, look in the description below. I've got a code. You can use that code, get a referral. And when you use that code, you get 5,000 extra in-game credits, or Alpha UEC, or UEC, and I get a recruitment point. So win-win. Anyways, but let's go ahead and get to watching this, and I'll tell you my thoughts on it.
We want the universe to feel diverse. We're trying to build worlds that have multiple communities, right? And we want the universe to feel like there's so many things out there, so many things that are unknown.
So the plan for the character team, as far as new PU assets, we are making a much stronger push towards new armors.
So this armor right here, this is pretty cool. That's obviously like some kind of devil, or I don't know the name of the armor, but it's pretty cool. I'm assuming those are like holograms, which is really cool. So I like that. But we'll see what they're bringing to us.
As far as new PU assets, we are making a much stronger push towards new armors. So all that said, let's look at some of the armors we've been working on.
My favorite is going to be the heat suit, because it's the first of its kind where it mainly focuses on fabric.
This is not a modular armor, so the silhouette of it can be quite different because it doesn't have to mix and match like other armors do. So we could go with a much different, larger kind of silhouette that shows that there's a lot of protection on this armor from the very high heat surrounding.
We had one version that didn't make it to the final, but it's really cool. We had one where it had
weird
vents where if the suit would overheat too much, the players would push a button or something and just steam would just come out. It's a cool idea. However, the rule of cool doesn't always work. We also want the armors and clothing to look like they serve that purpose of whatever that function is.
I don't like this one. Now, this is probably like concept art. I don't like this one. I think my favorite's this one right here. That one looks pretty cool. This helmet kind of looks funky to me. But, I don't know. Maybe there'll be 3 types of suit. I don't know. I'm thinking these are like concept arts that they're going to choose between.
The players have to feel really good when they wear it. Mentally and also visually, they have to be like, oh, that's exactly what I want to wear. I feel proud to be wearing this.
I've played too many games where I was playing a support or utility, and I got stuck in some really crappy looking, lame outfit. I think the one that I'm most happy about of this particular group is the Gray Cat one.
I mean, the attention to detail is pretty amazing here. It appears that there's a bulge there, but anyways,
Of this particular group
whatever.
Is the Gray
I think
Cat
this
one.
suit looks really cool though. This is the I guess
It
maybe
was
the
nice
default
to
mining suit.
go and approach like a utility armor and say, no, this gun's gonna look cool. You could actually rock this thing and it's gonna look nice.
We had several kickoffs before we even concepted this armor. When we were given the manufacturer Gray Cat, we were like, well, what is something that's already existing in the Star Citizen universe that we can reference off of? And the multi-tool was a godsend for us because we pretty much took a lot of those design cues, added additional references. The concept artist went and spent about a week just gathering references. We married the two together.
The armor
Really
archetypes that
cool.
were introduced
I
at
like that.
CitizenCon 2 years ago have been a really big help for us on the art side of things. It's given us the direction for really to inform what we want to see visually on our armors. So when we know what an armor's best at, what is its, we can help visualize that in our actual concepts. So if an armor is going to be for mining, we can show that there's function on the armor, that it can gather resources better. It definitely has been good with us to collaborate with design and also with narrative very early in the process, so that before we put pen to paper, we have direction and we are all aligned on what we're going to be making.
Most of the time, it starts off with design. Design will look at the overall game and be like, hey, this functionality does not exist, or this armor does not exist, and we need this type of armor. They will then run that through narrative and also double check with the design directors to make sure that that is in line with what we want to build in the game. And then once they have a general consensus about this is the type of armor that we like, or this is the type of clothing that we would like, then they would contact us, and the design team will then implement it into the game, and then the writing team will write those pretty blurbs in our game that explains all the lore.
So the RS Heavy. This one is much more bulky and armored, but it still shares the same design language that you see in the RS. The manufacturer influence of a lot of wrapped cloth areas, and this is still getting that very tactical sort of vibe, something like a SWAT officer you might see. Similarly, with the variants, you can see we carried over the variants that you see before, so the Arctic Ops, the Black Ops, and also the Fallout versions. And similarly, they have new helmet fronts as well. So we get the geo changes.
So let's look at these. That's it's pretty cool. I mean, pretty much looks like the same armor. This one's different. The helmet's different. With different camouflage patterns. I think my favorite. I think it's between this one and this one. I like both of these right here. I think I like this one more. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Variant concepts. It's pretty cool.
As well as just the material variants. So this armor here, we don't actually have an official name for it yet. So the armor. This is the armor that has no name for now. Hopefully, by the time it comes out, we've solved that problem. One thing that is unique about it, it is a modular armor. However, there are pieces of geometry like the breathing hose or cowl here that normally would not work with our modular system.
This right here kind of reminds me of if you ever seen it was a show called Stargate SG-1. They had these like the Tomb Keepers or whatever they were. They had these little things that would like come down or come back up, and it would kind of cover the face. That I'm getting that kind of vibe off of that.
There is this one thing that the character team we have talked about before in previous panels and stuff, and which is Theta Geo, where if we pair two or more items together, a very unique geo would then be added on. So visually, they would look the best.
That's
Basically,
cool.
this is geometry that only turns on when all the necessary pieces are there. So when the torso is there and when this helmet is there, then you see the breathing tube appear and also the cowl. So this is something we'd like to feature on other armors going forward where needed. So it allows us to push silhouettes and forms that are more unique while still working with our modular system.
Let's pause this again because I like looking at these armors. Again, let's look. I think my favorite's this one right here. I mean, they all look cool, but I think that's my favorite. Excuse me. So, I always like, definitely the capes that they have.
So I think for players to be able to have a character that they...
Oh, wait, I just noticed something.
...modify to be able...
So you got original Hurston Imperial security, Hurston Arctic security. Wait, why does Hurston need Arctic security? Anyways, maybe for when they go somewhere else. Interplanetary. Hurston Military Security. And if anybody's wondering why I'm questioning, Hurston is like almost like a desert planet, but not quite. Kind of like a wasteland. Hurston Urban Security. That looks pretty cool. That looks like urban security. Kind of looks like a skull right there. And Hurston Shadow Security. So these are, I guess, like the secret police or something of Hurston.
To have a character that they can modify and create a look that they really are excited about. I think it's very important. I think that, and also when you're talking about an entire player base, it doesn't have to be for everybody, right? The point is that there's a large variety, and we're only going to continue to add to that. The challenge is that there are very specific rules when you have armor that has to be cut up in exactly a certain way. Like there are volumes we have to stick by. With this has to be there, this has to be here, and so things don't clip.
Now, obviously, with these armors, that's a cat armor. I think that's like a new armor they have. Obviously, with these armors, some of these armors depend on what you get, what kind of protection you get. So, like, if you get light armor, again, you're not going to have a whole lot of protection. But, you're sacrificing that protection for mobility, which makes sense. Medium armor is balance. You got that balance. So, you're not slow and bulky, but, you're not just, you can't just, you're not light armor. You're not going to be agile, as agile anyways. But it's a balance. The heavy armor, obviously, you're a tank pretty much. You're going to take pretty good hits. But again, it probably depends on what weapon you get shipped. You get shot by. Bleep that out. Anyways, you get shot by. So, it just depends, So I mean, that's a given.
That if you think about dozens and dozens and dozens of armors, all holding that rule set to be true, how do you create unique selection?
Now, I don't know if like engineer, like let's say you're working in like an engineer section of a ship, okay, and maybe there's like high radiation or something in that part. Maybe you will have a specific armor for that job. I'm not sure. They might have something they do like that,
Because they all have to mix match. So that's one of the things we are looking into with some of the tech we're pushing right now, where certain pieces of geometry only turn on when those specific pieces are connected.
And I like that. I think that's cool.
We are going to make
so basically, I think what they're saying here is that when you have a matching suit of armor, okay, so you have like the same thing, you're not mismatching. Or maybe, components that go together on the armor. You'll have more visual stuff going on. So like you'll have, the tube coming from your helmet attaching to your suit, or maybe other things that are like animated. Maybe you got a helmet on there and it attaches to your suit and it has this weird thing that comes over it, like we saw on that one armor. Stuff like that. So instead of having mismatching armor, you're going to have armor that goes together. So I guess it encourages you to not use mismatch armor as much. Of course, I think pirates, are going to be mismatching, or they're going to have to look like pirates,
Armors like the heat suit, where it is bespoke. It isn't swappable, just because it has a very, very unique silhouette, and we wanted to keep that. So
I agree.
Those might be more the exception, but we do have room for that stuff as well. So, but yeah, being able to customize your character in a game is very important. So it's something we're only going to be offering more choices, not less. So.
With the new archetypes first mentioned at CitizenCon 2949, leading to a new design and feature-driven pipeline for armor creation over the last year, the future of Star Citizen's character defense has never been brighter
or more
always
versatile. Like the setup that's going on back there.
But up next, the upcoming Alpha 314 is scheduled to bring with it the addition of Stanton's newest landing zone. So let's take a brief look at the currently in development industrial platform of Orison.
There we go.
Get a refresher on who Crusader is and what they do in the Star Citizen universe.
Crusader Industries is one of the ship manufacturers in the game. They got their start way back at around the time of the fall of the Messers. August Dunlow, the founder of the company, he saw the new economy about to take off and thought that there was a way that he could make...
That's called the Genesis Starliner, if I'm not mistaken.
And that was at the very foundation of Crusader Industries. Back in the late 29th century, when the Stanton system was discovered, the UEE was kind of hurting for funding. This idea was put into place of maybe they could sell the land of these inhabitable worlds to private corporations to make funds for the UEE. And so Crusader saw this and saw the potential for how it could change the way they built ships. They wouldn't need their full teams to be EVAing and wearing full suits and protective gear. They could have them in breathable environment. And so in 2863, Kelly Kaplan, the CEO, convinced Crusader to purchase one of these worlds, and that's how the planet became known as Crusader. So when Crusader bought the planet, they needed a base of operations and started building out the Providence Platform, which was the original naval shipyard. When they were building Orison, Crusader really wanted to have it be a nice place to visit. We also like this idea of this veneer and sheen.
Now, I've got a couple of questions. I wonder because this is a floating, this is a floating city, okay? And I have questions. How is this thing floating? You know, is it using like an anti-gravity weld generator type thing? Is it using like big old turbines to, keep it in the air? Maybe it's because obviously Crusader is a gas giant, and gas giants have a lot of gravity. It has a lot of pull to it. So I would think that, I'm curious as to how they're going to explain how this floating city is there and not being pulled to the inners of Crusader. Is it using like a helium type, that's keeping it, how is this thing floating? That's what I want to know. Is it in like an area to where it's not really in the atmosphere, it's just kind of orbiting, but like a low level orbit? I really want them to explain that to me. I think that's a good question, I think.
Comes to it. So there is those elements of like almost a theme park.
They got to make me feel
go on, and with the parks
believable to me.
Feeling of just a beautiful place to visit. So the three main locations that players are going to visit when they head down to Orison is August Dunlow Spaceport, named after the founder of Crusader Industries. Cloudview Center, which is the main kind of habitation, relaxation, hangout area. There's shopping, there's dining, there's entertainment. And from there, you can head out to Providence Industrial Platform, which is one of the main manufacturing hubs where Crusader is building their ships.
So this is Providence Industrial Platform. We're in a debug mode right now, which is white albedo, because we're going through our lighting pass at the moment. So when the patch comes out properly, you'll be able to experience it in its full glory with all proper lighting and whatnot. So starting from the very beginning, so this is the kind of ingress point for this particular platform here. So we've got a part where we come from the commercial district, and then we have a landing where you come from the spaceport. One of the things that we really wanted to chuck in, and Chris really wanted to have this, was that it's like if you go to a car, like one of the big car companies, they have like exclusive tours and whatnot. So we kind of have this tour shop that's in here. So if you're not a worker or you're not coming over for business or anything like that, you would come in here, you could buy merch, you can look at all the schwanky ships that are being made, and then you can go on a tour of the actual manufacturing plant. Down the right here we have a workers entrance, which is for the actual platform itself. We're going to have a uniform shop here for those guys if they forget something, and then we have the official workers entrance here, which will go to a train which allows them to travel up and down the colossal dry dock that we've got here. So that's one side of the workers area. You're not going to expect any like huge die presses or anything over here. This is more big ships are coming in and dropping off like raw materials to help in the construction. Kind of an interesting space, the way that it's been situated within the platform itself.
So he said big ships are coming in and dropping off raw materials. I wonder if you're going to have missions where you can like take a caterpillar or something else and you know, be one of those ships that's dropping off the raw materials.
And then coming out the other side, you can see the rest of Providence Platform that we're on right now. And then down here we have, on this deck in particular, we actually have some escape pods. So this is actually an escape pod here. So this is like in case of an emergency, people can escape and like become neutrally buoyant within the atmosphere. And then continuing along this way here, if we go up this little walkway up here, we kind of have this mid deck. So if I zoom out, you can kind of see where we are. So this is that admin fluid buffer area, and logistics are over here. So we've kind of got this in-between deck here. As part...
I'm sorry. Maybe that when he said the pods would remain buoyant or whatever, maybe the atmosphere is so thick that maybe it acts like a liquid almost, if that makes sense. But you know, a gas form, I guess. And maybe the that's what's holding this place up.
Part of that, we've kind of thought about how we can add a little bit more functionality to these spaces so that we can have the potential to expand upon them in the future. So we've gone in and we've added in a lot of screens around the place that potentially could be interactable. We also have a little port here which lets us go down and service some of the equipment.
I have a feeling they're going to redo this several times. I don't think this
part
is the
of
final
what
version.
we were really trying to achieve here was like really getting that sense of vertigo. So when you're like just floating above nothing but cloud, you kind of just, it's just you and nothing.
I suffer from vertigo, so like things like this does trigger my vertigo, and I'm kind of getting it a little bit right now. So yeah, they've done a good job.
We don't really have anywhere on our planet apart from in space, right? On that note as well, this is not the proper level. This is just a construction level that we're using and trying to get a vibe of what this could potentially look like in the actual proper level. Just to make sure, before everyone gets too excited, this is not what the final product is going to look like. This is not the actual Crusader. It's just a construction level.
So for the first release, there's going to be a lot of cool stuff to go and check out and explore on the platform. But what's great is that we're planning to add even more down the road in future releases for the players to do there.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the new armor archetypes aim to add more function to the already impressive styling of Star Citizen's character armors. That even if you play a support role like mining, you deserve to look just as badass as everyone else. And that Crusader is more than just a planet and a brand. It's a whole way of life. I really need to be in the clouds. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you all next week.
That was a good little Inside Star Citizen. You know, I didn't have a whole lot to talk about because there wasn't a whole lot to talk about in this one. But anyways, I appreciate you guys joining me, and if you like it, give me a like. If you didn't like it, give me a dislike. You know, I mean, everybody has their own opinions and their own preferences. So anyways, I appreciate you guys joining me, and join me with the next one. Y'all have a good one.